Friends, I really hope that you are doing great. Welcome to our today's class. It's our second lesson on bearing, whereby you are looking at our example number 2, which reads that 4 towns R, T, K, and G are such that T is 84 kilometers directly to the north of R. So that means if our point R is somewhere here, suppose this is our point R, then T is 84 kilometers directly to the north. So the northern side of point R is this. This is east, this is south, this is west. So it means T is directly to the north of the point R. So it means our point T will be somewhere here. Then the distance is 84 kilometers. So of course we are given the scale. We are told to use a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 10 kilometers. So if 1 centimeter is equals to 10 kilometers, what about 84 kilometers? So this will be over 10 kilometers, then multiplied by 1 centimeter, which will give you 8.4 centimeters. So it means here we are going to measure 8.4 centimeters in order to get to point T. Then you are told that and K is on a bearing of 295 degrees from R. So from point R, we need to measure an angle of 295. So remember, this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, this is 270, then back to 360. Therefore, 295 should come at around this point. So we need an angle of 295 degrees. So this one should take us to the point. We are told that K is on a bearing of 295 from R. So this one should take us to the point that we are calling K. So K is 295 from R. So this is our point K from R, a distance of 60 kilometers. So the distance from K, that is from R to K, is 60 kilometers. So 60 kilometers on our scale, we are going to divide with 10, which will be equivalent to 6 centimeters. Then we are also told that G is on a bearing of 340 degrees from K. So if this is K, of course this is 0, this is 90, this is 180, this is 270. So 340 will be somewhere here. So the angle will be somewhere here. So this is what we are calling 340 degrees. So this one should take us to the point G. So this is the point that we are calling G. So G is 340 degrees from K, a distance of 30 kilometers. So the distance is 30 kilometers. If we convert on our scale, it will be 30 over 10, which will be 3 centimeters. So make a scale drawing of the 4 towns. Yeah. So this is our sketch. Now we need to draw it to scale. So of course the first thing, we are going to start with the point that we were given initially, which was actually the point R. So I need a lot of space on the left hand side. Therefore I'm going to put my point R at around this point here. So I will let my point R to lie somewhere here. So I need my point R here. So I'll make a line. For my point R. Then using my protractor, I need the angle to be 90. So I'm simply going to align it to this line. Then where I have 90 degrees, I'm going to draw a line. Then I'll make the line somehow long enough, because I know that I need point T on top of that. So 90 is exactly somewhere here. So I'm going to connect it to this particular point. Then I need more space on the upper side. So let me try to make this line longer, because I can see from the sketch point T is actually on the upper side. Then from this particular point, this is what we are calling our point R. So to point T, we need to measure 8.4 centimeters. So using your pair of compass, measure 8.4 centimeters with the help of your ruler. So for my case, I'm going to align my pair of compass to the point R. So let me put it exactly at point R. This is point R. I need to ensure that I'm as accurate as possible. So that is my point R. Then we need 8.4 centimeters. So let me stretch it. So this is my 8.4 centimeters. For your case, you can measure it on a ruler. Then you simply transfer it. Then you make an arc. So this is my 8.4 centimeters. So this will be point T. Then I need an angle of 295 degrees to take me to point K. So 295, if this is 270 degrees, so up to this point, if this is 270 degrees, then I need the remaining angle. Similarly, I can take 290, this is 295. I can take 295, then I subtract 180 so that I find the remaining angle there. So this is 295, then minus 180. I'm going to get 115. So I need an extra angle of 115 degrees. Therefore, I'm going to use my protractor to ensure that the angle is 115. So remember, 115, I'm supposed to measure it from the line that is connecting with 180 degrees. So I'm going to put my protractor this way. I make sure that it is aligning with that particular line going to the northern side. So I need to make sure that I'm as accurate as possible so that we can find correct values. Yeah, I think at this point it's okay. So once it aligns, let me try to align it properly. Yeah, it is actually aligned well. So I need an angle of 115 degrees from the line going through 180 degrees. So 115 will be from this point. I need 115 degrees. So I'm using the inner scale. So 115 will be in between 110 and 120. So 115 will be at this particular point. So I'll make the line 115 degrees. It should be in between 110 and 120. So that's exactly 115. Then of course after that the distance is 6 centimeters. So using my pair of compass, I need to measure 6 centimeters. So let me reduce it to 6 centimeters. 6.0 centimeters. So that is 6 centimeters. Then let me remove this. So with the 6 centimeters, I'm going to put it through that center. Let me ensure that it's exactly at this point. So ensure that it is strictly 6 centimeters this way. Then of course after that you make an arc. Then I need to construct a perpendicular at point K such that that is a true north. So to do that, I can simply reduce the size of my pair of compass. Then I make an arc here. Then I simply transfer it to this point that I've already made here. Let me transfer it properly. So I ensure that it is exactly aligning to that point this way. Then of course I'm going to rotate so that I make an arc on top of it. So what I'm using, we call it the parallelogram method. Then once I have that, remember this distance is the same. This distance is actually the same, you can see. Then you take your compass through that particular center that you have simply drawn. Then you stretch it. You stretch it to, I think this was 6 centimeters. You stretch it back to 6 centimeters. Then you transfer it on this arc. That is the arc that you have made here. Try to be as accurate as possible. You transfer it to this point. Then you make an arc without changing the radius. Then you simply join these two. The point of intersection of this one is around this point here. So I join these two. Let me try to make it as more accurate as possible. It should be somewhere here. Slightly it should be slightly somewhere there. Yeah, so I simply connect the two. Then after that I can use my protractor to ensure that the angle is 90 degrees. So it should be somewhere here. Actually my line is not very accurate. It's not very accurate. Let me draw a more accurate one. So let me redraw it. So from this point I need to ensure that it is as accurate as possible. Slightly let me see. Yeah, it should be through somewhere there, so that angle is better. Then using my protractor, I'm simply going to put it through the points of intersection of these two this way. Then of course where I have 90, I'm going to draw a line through that point. So this is my 90 degrees. 90 is here. Then I draw a line through that. So what I've formed, that is point K. Then from point K, there's an angle that we need to measure. From point K, we need 340 degrees. So again, I need to determine from 340 what angle is remaining. So I'm simply going to take 340. So I'll take 340 degrees. Then I subtract 180. So that I need to find the remaining angle here to this line. So 340 minus 180, you are going to get 160 degrees. So the difference here is 160 degrees. So I need to measure 160 degrees. I need to measure 160 degrees. Therefore, I'm simply going to, yeah, actually the protractor is okay. So I need 160 degrees from the 180 line. So 160 degrees. So for this case, I'm going to use 160. I'm going to use the inner scale. So 160 degrees, 150. This is 160. 160 is somewhere here. So yeah, 160 is there. Then from point K, the distance to point G, was 3 centimeters. So I need 3 centimeters using my pair of compass. 3 centimeters is somewhere here, 3.0. Yeah, that is 3.0. Then I simply transfer it. I simply transfer it to this point. I'm trying to make it as accurate as possible. So let me ensure that it is exactly through this point. Yeah, that way. Then I make an arc on this particular line. So I need to make an arc this way. So this should take me to the point that we are calling G. Then of course I can also construct a perpendicular at point G using the point K. So to achieve that, I'm going to somehow increase the length of my pair of compass a little bit. Let me change the color so that you can see the difference. So I'm going to increase. I've just increased the length of my pair of compass a little bit. Let me increase it a little bit up to around that point. Then I'm going to make an arc. I'm going to make an arc here. Then I simply, with the same radius, I transfer it to this point that I've made here. Then I also make an arc on the upper side of this. Then I simply take my pair of compass back to the starting point, which was this point here. Then remember we were measuring 3 centimeters. So I'll ensure that this one is back to 3 centimeters. That is 3.0. Let me check. Yeah, it's actually at 3 centimeters. Then with 3 centimeters, with 3 centimeters, so this is our 3 centimeters. Yeah, so with 3 centimeters, I'm going to transfer it. I'm going to transfer this to the point that I've made here. This point here. Let me ensure that it is at 3. Yeah, it is okay. Then once it is 3 centimeters, I make an arc to meet the first one. Then of course I'm going to join the point of intersection of this with this particular point that I've just made here. It should be somewhere here. Let me see. Yeah, it should be passing through actually this point. Yeah, so it should be this way. Then after that, I'm using my protractor to ensure that the angle, I make another line here through the 90 degrees. So this is my 90 is here, so this is my 90. Yeah, this way. So those are the points that I'm required to indicate. So of course I'm going to label these particular points. So the first point was point R, so this is our point R. Then I put a north on that point R. Then this was point T. Yeah, I think point T was to be here. This was 8.4 centimeters. So this is point T. I can also construct a 90 at this particular point T by simply, I can use my protractor this way. That is, yeah, the protractor. Then I draw a line through the 90 so that, let me reduce the size of my line. So this is 90. Yeah, so it should pass through that. Then I'm going to take off this. Then I'm going to label the point. So this is point T. Of course, this is its north. The north is here. Then this was point K. Of course, its north is here. So I can put the north here. Then the other one is point G. So the north is here. So this is our point G. Then we are told in part B, find the distance and the bearing of T from K. So we can start with the distance. Let me start with the distance of T from K. So you can join T and K. So let me join these two, the points T and K. So T and K. T is here. Let me see, my K is on the lower side. So I can join these two, T and K. K is somewhere here. So they want us to measure the distance, the bearing of the distance of T from K. So I can just use my pair of compass to measure that distance. But for your case, you can use a ruler or use a compass, then transfer it. So my K is here. Then the distance from T, this T is somewhere here. So my distance is 8 centimeters. So I'm getting 8 centimeters. So this is find the distance. So in part B, the distance is 8 centimeters. Then I can convert it on my scale. My scale was 1 centimeter is 10 kilometers. So what about 8 centimeters? So it will be over 1 centimeter times 10 multiplied by 10 kilometers, which will give me 80 kilometers. So the distance is 80 kilometers. Then the bearing of T from K, the bearing of T from K. So the angle should be measured from the point K. So this is our point K. So the angle that is required is this from K. This angle, that is what they want. So using my protractor, I need to measure that angle. So I'll simply put it this way. I flip it this way. Let me remove this. So the angle is around 45. You can see I'm using the inner scale. So from the north of this, T from K. So from K, from the north, the angle is 45 degrees. So that means the true bearing, its true bearing, I'm going to record it as 0.45 degrees. Then the compass bearing will be north 45 degrees east. So this will be north 45 degrees east. So that is the compass bearing and the distance. Then part B, this should be part C of the question. Find the distance and the bearing of G from T. So I'm going to connect G and T my G is here. I connect it to the point T. Let me use a different ink of G from T. So this is my point G. Then I connect it to T. So they want that distance. So you can use your ruler to measure the distance. For my case, let me just use my pair of compass. The distance of G from T. So this distance, GT, the distance is here. So I can reduce it so that it can fit this. So it is actually here, 7.2 centimeters. So for this part, I'm getting 7.2 centimeters. So the distance is 7.2 centimeters. Then you convert back to the units of the question. The scale was 10. So this is actually 72 kilometers. Then the bearing of G from T. So that means we are measuring the angle from the point T. We are measuring from point T. So the angle that is required. So this is T. This is the angle that is required. This angle here. So because I already have my 3, that is 180 degrees, I'm simply going to measure the remaining angle here. So I'm going to flip it, my protractor this way. So the angle that I need, the angle that is in question is, this is the angle that I want, this angle here up to this point. So if I use the inner scale, this angle is 65. This is 65 degrees. Then remember we have 180 that we have left here. So the angle will be 180 plus 65. So 180, if you take 180, then you add 65, you are going to get 245. So 180 plus 65, you'll get 245 degrees. Therefore, the true bearing will be 245 degrees, whereas the compass bearing will be, so we only focus on the 65 because it is between this is the south, this is the north, this is east, this is west. So it will be south because it is lying between the southern and the western direction. So it will be south 65 degrees west. Remember, 65 is an acute angle. That's why you cannot record 245. 245 is more than 90, so it's not acute. Then part C of the question, we are told to find the bearing of R from G. The bearing of R from G. So we need to connect those two, that is R and G. So let me connect these two, R and G. So this is G. I'm going to connect it to the point R. So the bearing of R from G, we need to measure the angle at point G. So this is our point G is here. So the required angle is this one here. So from G, this is the angle that they want. So using my protractor, I'm going to measure that angle R from G. So I'm simply going to flip it in this direction such that it aligns with the north. So this will be, so the angle that is required will be, so this is using the inner scale, this is 120, this is 110, 120, 130. So actually the angle is around 130 degrees. So the bearing is 130 degrees. So remember, this is the true bearing. The true bearing is 130 degrees. True bearing will be 130 degrees because it's already in 3 digits, so I don't need to add any zero. Then the compass bearing will be, so we are going to focus on the angle that is in contact with the north-south line. So this angle will be, the angle that is in contact with the north-south line is this angle here. So this is the angle that is required. So if I use the outer scale, this is 0 up to this point, the angle will be 50 degrees. So the angle is actually 50 degrees. So I'm using the outer scale. So you can see the angle is 50 degrees to the north-south line. Therefore, the compass bearing will be, it is on the southern and the eastern side. So the angle will be south, the compass bearing will be south 50 degrees, south 50 degrees east, south 50 degrees east. So this angle will be south 50 degrees east. So that is how to handle such a question. So in our next class, we'll be looking at further examples. Thank you for accompanying me until the end of this particular lesson. This is Kind Tuition Academy. Thank you.